Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live from the Asco Internet. This is the Gaming Saloon for November 4th, 2023, which host me, Speaker 2448, and Ramp It Up Salon.
Hi.
It's release season for video games, so the news is on the shorter side. At least it should be, except for our first couple, because yeah, it has caused a lot of people, especially on the Destiny end of things, to be like, "Oh no, this isn't good."
Yeah.
I listened to Skill Up's podcast where he had Bife, Dado, and someone else I didn't hear up until the podcast. We're all Destiny people, and all of them are like, "Yeah, this isn't great. This is not good, just in general." For I believe Bife and Dado, who've been covering Destiny since it started, they're just like, "Yeah, this has never happened in the long time we've been talking about Destiny and covering it, and this has us concerned." So even if you got them spooked, things aren't going well. But before we get into that, amongst other things, Tommy, what have you been playing the last couple of weeks? Besides Wonder.
I'm trying to think. That's a good question.
Because I might as well just be like, all right, what? We'll leave Wonder for last. What else?
I honestly don't think I have anything else.
So how has Wonder been?
Honestly, the base game I feel like might be, even on a casual sense, might be a little too easy. Like, that's got to be my biggest complaint with it. But at the same time, it's also kind of a good thing. Because it's a good one to just be able to turn your mind off and just go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, it's a Mario game. The story's not that complicated. The biggest thing that's kind of got me with it is a lot of the Wonderflower stuff. It's a case of they lean into the we're gonna do something crazy with it mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I mean, power-ups, they're Mario power-ups. There's, what else can you really say? They're gonna have their purposes, and that's about it. It kind of feels weird that the badges took more of a precedence than the power-ups.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, obviously it's good enough for me to feel like I want to at least attempt some speedruns, so not a bad game. I've heard people kind of saying that it feels more like it's a new SMB style game, and yeah, I can see that. But that's also kind of the way Nintendo's took the 2D Marios too. One of those Nintendo's learned pattern the 2D Marios after the new Super Mario Brothers stuff, because you know that sold good, and pattern your 3Ds after Super Mario 64, because you know they can release that multiple times and still make money. It's basically coming down to, I don't have a problem with people not liking it because it is like New Super Mario Brothers. But I would have a problem if that is what stopped someone from at least trying it. Because it's not that bad of a setup. There's far worse platformers out there. Just saying.
Yeah.
The only thing I wish there was a way you could maybe cut some of the story stuff off and just have it to where you could just play the levels.
Have a more like classic mode experience of just, you just go level to level to level to level.
Yeah. Like, still leave the overworld and stuff. Just get rid of a lot of your dialogue and stuff if you wanted to. Because in all seriousness, I found myself mashing through some of the text by the time I got to the late game. Because it was the typical, oh yeah, you're never going to get into my castle stuff out of Bowser.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I don't care. You say this every time and it still happens.
It's not like we're doing anything complex here with this Mario game. Bowser showed up at a new place. He wanted a fancy thing. He got the fancy thing, and now the crew has to go stop him from having the fancy thing. That's it.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, I'm not really in the camp of they needed to not do it. Because yeah, I mean, give it a story. I'm perfectly fine with that. But maybe give an accessibility option to turn that off if people didn't want that, or if they've played the game already and just want to play again from a new file. I'm not even saying it for a speedrunner sense kind of deal. I'm just saying from a casual. If I've already beat the game, I don't want to see that again.
They did give you the option to mute the flowers.
Honestly, I haven't muted the flower.
I only know about that option because Kotaku was like, you should turn off the flowers and stop them from talking. And then everybody dunked on Kotaku because they're like, what the fuck are you talking about, Kotaku? Shut the fuck up. Stop saying stupid things.
In a speedrun sense, yeah, I could see someone wanting to turn the flowers off because that could be annoying.
Mm-hmm.
From a casual sense, honestly, no. I would recommend leaving it on. Sometimes they'll wind up telling you about something that you wouldn't have paid attention to. Because that is one thing that quite a few levels actually do. They play with the foreground and background.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just on the one plane. You need to pay attention to the background and the foreground because there may be something there.
Very DKCR of them.
Yeah. It's one of those you can definitely tell this is a culmination of a lot of Nintendo's platformers and not just Mario.
If I recall correctly about the development of this game, they had a lot of old guard and new guard people at Nintendo on this project and pretty much told them there's no budget, there's no real restraints, go.
So like, there's not even basically learned from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom of sometimes you need to get new blood in there and just tell them to have at it and see what happens.
Yeah, and not just new blood that have played Nintendo games before.
Well, I mean, I'd say the same probably could be said about some of the Zelda team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I believe...
But it's one of those, it's like, you can tell this isn't just people that have played Mario platformers and are sitting there saying a Mario platformer should be this.
Mm-hmm.
This has elements from not just other Mario games, but like you just pointed out, DKC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe, what's the number? 7 people who were on the original Mario Brothers were on Wonder's development. 7. Like 7 of the original people that developed that game were a part of the production of Wonder. Yeah. Like some of them may have not been were too hands-on because like one of them is Miyamoto, of course, because duh.
Yeah, but from what I understand, he fully checks everything that comes through under him.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that means he gave the okay.
Yeah. Like, I wish I had the list because there was like a tweet that pointed out everybody. It was like, and it was like a few different heads, and then like a couple of music people were everyone were on this since like Mario Brothers. And then also I found out about employee retention at Nintendo compared to the average of the industry, because the jobs have been kind of a talking point this whole year because as we'll talk about in our first article, we're adding to the 6,000 people that have been let go of their jobs in the game industry this week. Because what would you guess is the average retention rate of employees for the industry?
I wouldn't begin to know where to guess, but I would venture to say that it wouldn't be... It probably wouldn't be a good number if I had to take a guess.
It's actually about 70%.
That's not horrible, but at the same time, that's not really that good either.
Mm-hmm. Now, what would you guess Nintendo's retention rate is?
I'd have to think that it would be a lot better off than that.
It's about 99.2%, I think. Like it is some stupidly high retention rate where it's just like, wait, how many people have like left Nintendo after they have been hired? Because it's like, if it's literally like only like 0.8% of employees like don't stay at Nintendo, I'm like, who the fuck doesn't stay at Nintendo then? If it is that high of a retention rate of like, no, if we're hiring you on board, we want you here for life.
Could just be people that have started their own after, though.
I get probably. But it just makes me go like, damn. Like, I'm sure that's a cultural difference between like the US and Japan, because that came up again because, again, stuff we'll talk about in the news. But yeah, I was just like surprised by the number of just like, damn, if Nintendo wants you in their company, like they will go out of the way to make sure you stay. Not in a you are not going anywhere because we don't want you working anywhere. It's like, no, we want you working here and we will make you happy to do so. Yeah, everything I've seen from Wonder, because I've only gotten to see it in action from mainly Author Blues, him doing runs of it. It looks really good. I hopefully will get to play it one day. Anything else?
No.
Well, I've checked out that new Mortal Kombat mobile game that I think we've talked about on the show.
And how to pay to win is that?
I don't know about that, but it is. It's an auto battler kind of thing. I got bored with it after like 30 minutes and uninstalled it. Because not only do you get like the Mortal Kombat characters, you get a bunch of like generic people from different factions and stuff. So you get a generic like oh shit, what's Sub-Zero's faction? I can't think of the name
I did
of
the
it.
same thing twice. You've got to be joking.
But you get like a basic cryomancer, you get like a basic soldier, you get a bunch of basic like goon people to like fill out the roster. It's very much like the Marvel Avengers game that's out at the moment on mobile, where hey, you've got the heroes, but here is a like generic like shield agents and like Hydra soldiers and like hand ninjas to fill out the roster and to be kind of like your common pickups and like your gotcha stuff. Since to make like the name characters, big and important and like make you spend money on the gacha pull. But I tried that out. Checked back in with Honkai for a little bit. I think they're doing a story release soonish. I think they just did a stream talking about it, so I get to continue the story in that game. Hooray! I kind of enjoy that. I enjoy the characters. But what's funny was they did 2 new banners. One for a new, focus on a new character they put in, and one on an older character that got focused, but hey, it's a new banner with this character. Have a swing at it. So I had enough of the currency to do a pull on the old banner for the old character. Guess what happened?
What?
I got them on the first pull.
Well,
and it wasn't just me. Someone in the Soda Pop Discord also plays Honkai, got them on the first pull too. And I'm like, did they rig this to just give you the character on the first pull and just not tell anyone? Because it kind of feels like they did. Because it's like a 5-star character, and it's like, you shouldn't get this one that easily. Especially because they're like a pretty good character in terms of like their capabilities and stuff. So it's like, they might have rigged this just to give you the character just because. But you know what? If they did that and just didn't tell anybody, I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. I don't care. If they're just like, hey, we're going to like make sure you get cool characters to play with because that's kind of half the fun of this game, fine by me. I'm okay with that. I like to have new characters to play with and have fun with. But I did that. I got back to Persona 5 Strikers because I want to try to finish that game before Tactica comes out in like 2 weeks. I've been very terrible about that, but I've got through the dungeon I was currently at when I last left off the game. I just have to do one story event and then I'm off to like whatever the next dungeon is, and maybe I'll have that game done before Tactica comes out. I hope. So I can move on to the other Persona 5 spinoff without feeling like I didn't play the first one and finish it. Besides that, chipping away at Ruby and Sapphire Adventures. I'm like halfway through the second volume of it. Need to read more of that. Not much else. I guess we can keep talking about Spider-Man 2. and now we'll properly say we will talk about spoilers, I guess. So, spoiler warning. I don't think you have anything to put up to say spoiler warning.
Nope.
I meant to do a new version of the old spoiler warning image I did a long time ago, but I haven't gotten around to it. But spoilers for Spider-Man 2. Ooh. So they're introducing Sydney Moon. Just throw that out there. That's what the second end credit scene is saying, is here's Sydney Moon, who, for those that don't know the comics, which is probably like 90% of the internet, because who the fuck reads the comics, for being honest. It's a lot of reading and a lot to keep up with. So Sydney Moon is Silk in the comics. She's the newest like female spider character, I believe. And it says a lot when I say that. And she's like 8 years old from her creation, if I recall correctly. But Sydney was bitten by the same spider that bit Peter. And unlike Peter, she can produce web organically, kind of like first 3 movie Peter. So that's what helps differentiate her in terms of a power set from Peter and Miles. Or at least that's how I assume they'll differentiate her, since, hey, she can produce web organically. That means we'll do a whole bunch of web-based shenanigans with her that we haven't really done with Peter and Miles. But yeah, they're introducing her and setting up Green Goblin to be our main villain for the third game, I would assume.
Oh yeah. And probably Hobgoblin. Because I feel like you're gonna have both.
Probably. I know one thing that I assume is a DLC setup or a spin-off setup. Do you know about the flame side quest stuff?
I don't think so.
Okay, so that one has Peter teaming up with Wraith. AKA, yeah, I forget her name offhand, but he's teaming up with her to deal with these cultist people. And we find out at the end of it that the cultist leader was trying to derail an Oscorp train to get a symbiote that is red. And this cult leader, one of his aliases is Cletus Cassidy. So...
yeah, it don't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out.
Man name drops Carnage outright in dialogue. It does not take a whole lot to go, 2 + 2 is Carnage in this case. And I kind of agree with, because Maximilian Dude recently finished up his playthrough of Spider-Man 2 this past week. And I kind of agree with him where it's like, okay, you wouldn't do Carnage as like a main villain in Spider-Man 3 because that's just another symbiote character. So, what? It feels a little weird to do that. So it feels like a DLC spin-off setup of, okay, we would deal with Carnage, but that is a Spider-Man 2, like a DLC for Spider-Man 2, or Miles Morales 2, or Marvel's Spider-Man Silk, whatever.
Nope.
Oh.
It'll be the DLC one. Because bear in mind, yeah, we've been introduced to who will become Silk. We have no idea if she has powers already or not.
Fair.
When we were introduced to Miles, he did not.
Yeah.
Meaning the DLC more than likely will be the reason. And it almost makes me wonder if we do it based off of that, if we're gonna see a difference where maybe her powers are derived from the symbiote. Either Venom or Carnage.
Maybe?
Rather than actual spider powers, because that would be a different take. And that would still tie into the organic mentality of it. So that would be interesting if that's what happens instead.
Yeah. Then
from there, I could see us getting a spinoff.
Yeah, the other side quest, or at least side event thing that I know about, I don't know what leads directly to it, but you investigate an apartment and stuff, and you find out, hey, Chameleon exists, and he's got his eyes on, like, Peter and Miles. And he's, like, old friends with Kraven, or old rivals with Kraven, essentially.
There's your villain for the Silk spinoff.
More or less. Also, this is not, we don't know the context for this, but there has been an area discovered that is under the map, because the same place you can get under the map in Miles is the same place you can get under the map in 2, because they didn't fix that. But if you get under the map...
Is that the only spot you can get under the map? Or is there more than one spot that you can get under the map? Because I know Hobbs was doing a run, I think it was yesterday, or he was routing, one of the two. And yeah, the lizard chase, you can cause physics to yeet you under the map.
I mean, just in his run today, he accidentally got under a bunch of like tendrils and stuff, and you're inside Peter's head segment. He kind of got stuck under a little bit of the geometry in there, and he couldn't get out, so he had to go back to checkpoint.
I feel like they didn't do the last minute polish on the game. Because I know something was said too about there's a potential memory leak. if the games ran for too long.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
That don't me either, because that's happened a lot with various games recently.
Because that feels like the exact same issue I've had in Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart recently, where I've had that problem at the Coliseum area,
It's
causing
almost,
weird problems.
It's almost like whatever engine that is being used to cause all of this is the root of it.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, under the map, you can go to this underground, what looks like just underground area that you have to like kind of like work your way towards, and then you have to use camera mode to get inside the area. But it looks like it is a throne room areas for Kraven, and there are 4 heads mounted on the wall. 3 of them are characters we know are canonically dead in this game, which is, I believe it's Vulture, Shocker, and Scorpion. Right? All 3 of them are dead because Kraven has killed all 3 of them.
Meh. I don't know.
I know there is a segment where you play as Mary Jane and you go around and like in an area and you listen to some dialogue stuff, and it very much implies that Kraven has killed, like he killed Vulture and he killed Shocker, and we see him kill Scorpion in a cutscene.
I don't know about those 2, but yes, Scorpion I do know is dead.
Yeah, the dialogue from the recorder from Kraven implies that he has killed Vulture and Shocker. But Rhino, for whatever reason, Rhino is not mentioned a single time in the entire game. Except his head is mounted on the wall with the other 3 in this little, like, underground area that you have to access by clipping into the world, or clipping underground. So Rhino might be dead? But like I said, Rhino is not mentioned.
I think that might have been an original concept, and then they scrapped that kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I could understand them scrapping it with the way they used Rhino and Miles.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that being the recurring, we have new villain recruits Rhino to be muscle.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is the only mention of, or the only idea we have of like what the hell has happened to Rhino in the entire game is this one seemingly cut area that is buried underground that you have to like shenanigans your way to. Because otherwise we have no idea what happened to Rhino. He's like, I think he's the only villain from the original game that we have no idea what happened to. Except maybe Screwball. But nobody gives a shit about Screwball anyway, so who cares?
And apparently, you know, Kraven didn't care about Mysterio, so Kraven definitely didn't care about Screwball.
Yeah.
Because Mysterio's a far bigger threat.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, besides those, also weirdly, I read an article that talked about how Gwen has not been mentioned in any of the 3 games, and it makes me go, huh. That is kind of weird, but it also like kind of backed up what I thought it was, because I figured instead of Sydney being introduced as new Spider Person for 3rd game, I figured it'd be Gwen, because Spider-Verse movies. Which, by the way, there's a direct reference to the Spider-Verse movies in this game. Because all the Spider-Bot stuff.
Fair.
Yeah, if you collect all the Spider-Bot stuff, you get a call from Genki saying, hey, there's this signal here, go there. And then you go there, and then some lady at a bar shows up through the portals that are literally the portals from across the Spider-Verse, and it's like, I'm going to take those Spider-Bots off your hands. They're problematic. I can handle them. Also, tell Miguel he owes me. And then, bloop, and, you know, Peter or I believe, yeah, you can go into this, I think it's Peter or Miles, and they're both very confused by this. Because they have no idea what the fuck this is, but we do, because, this is referencing Across the Spider-Verse. Very directly. which I guess canonically means this all takes place before Across the Spider-Verse, since we do see presumably Peter and Miles from this game in that movie in the background? Question mark. If you desire to try to weave the canon together that way.
Well, you do know there is another option that they could do if they weren't fully gonna bench Peter.
Mm-hmm.
You know how the Venom symbiote tied Peter to the hive mind?
Yeah.
And it kind of took, Mr. Negative's power to give him the anti-venom suit?
Yeah.
What about MJ? We have no confirmation that she is fully detached from it.
Yeah, she only kind of like pulled herself off of it, and then it kind of just dissolved in the rain, and that was it.
Uh-huh.
And I believe her symbiote is an actual symbiote from the comics. That's just not one that she uses ever, because MJ's never been hit with the symbiote.
Unless you dig into some of the animated stuff. And Ultimate Spider-Man, they did do that kind of a storyline.
Oh yeah, they did, but I
think that was specific for that.
Okay, because I was going to say, I don't think she was Scream. I think she was just something original.
Yeah. But still, they could have seen that and been like, we could do something with that.
I mean, they wanted to do more with her to make you not hate doing stealth segments on a non-stealth game.
And they've kind of progressively been getting her to the point where she can hold her own. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the next logical step. But in order to do that, that would mean that they couldn't push Peter to a mentor-only state. He would still have to be able to be an active part, too. And I don't know if with the way they ended that, if that's what they're willing to do, or if they're wanting to push him only to mentor only. And let the spotlight focus on Miles. Either one's a good option. But it kind of will divert which direction they go with the other characters.
I think since it feels like we have a pattern for how these games are written, where it's always a game of two halves and two villains, I feel like Miles takes center stage for the first half of the game, because that'll be pre-Green Goblin. It'll be whatever other villain we have to deal with. And then when Green Goblin comes in into the second half, Peter has to go, oh, fuck, I got to put the suit on because this is my problem and I need to solve this.
And see, at that point, if they were wanting to pull the trigger and MJ's symbiote's not gone, but now is controlled, then that would be the ultimate time to throw her into it.
Yeah.
Just randomly, oh yeah, you're not the only hero in the family. Let's go.
Weirdly, I feel like the third game's going to have a big, here's everybody that Peter has helped and befriended over the course of all these games, come together to help him, solve a problem. Because there's a weird amount of villains who are not villains anymore in this game.
Yeah.
Because Tombstone's legit now, and we save him, and he's just cool.
And is actually even surprised that Peter not once but twice saved him.
Yeah. Mysterio is legit as well, and it's not like a trick or something. He's legit, and also is maybe magic. Some part of me feels like he kind of has a little bit of magic to him with that last scene.
Nah.
I
Nah. That is literally his illusion work at hand.
okay. Like, it doesn't help that we also literally just do magic in this with Felicia. Like, no, magic exists. It's real in this universe. We're not going to play coy with this.
Which, I mean, that makes sense. They full on made sure to put the Sanctum in there. If they ever pulled the trigger, I could see some kind of a crossover game where Strange was interacting with one or both of these Spider-Man.
Except I would kind of expect Wong first because Wong's name is on the note.
Yeah, but I mean, who's going to be the one that more people are going to expect?
Fair. But then we have Felicia, who has pissed off the Paris to go be with her girlfriend, which, what, good for her. She's like, I'm done with this bullshit. I'm out. Bye.
Yeah, and with her, not only do we have hers and Peter's relationship, but we also have the fact that she kind of respects Miles after all this.
Yeah. I'm also kind of curious who is her girlfriend, because some part of me is just like, oh, it's probably some actual character from the comics and stuff, because I'm pretty sure this is the first time Felicia has ever been portrayed as bi, let alone lesbian, I believe. So I'm like, she has a girlfriend. I wonder if it is somebody we know from the comics or some other material. I mean, because they were non-specific.
I mean, probably.
But that also makes me go, okay, who are they just going to like put in the back pocket that is just in Paris? Because I'll be honest, I have no idea. It could be anybody. I would find it hilarious if it is Gwen.
It would kind of be funny.
Somehow Peter's past two girlfriends had decided, we both dated Peter and it didn't go well. We're just going to date each other and be happy. Pull a Legend of Korra all over again. But there's that. And then Wraith is not a bad guy, just kind of anti-hero, and they're kind of cool with Peter after this game, or after their quest line, because also they're the ones that show up on the Carnage stuff, so they're probably coming back when we go back at dealing with Carnage. So kind of feels like we're slowly building a bit of a Spider-Man and his amazing friends to kind of deal with a super big threat to end the third game. Since I feel like a big thing of this game is Peter realizing, I'm not alone anymore. I can step back and let other people take the lead. I don't need to be Spider-Man 100% of the time. Trying to think of anything else. Oh, Sandman as well. I forgot. Right, Sandman is also on the table as a good guy. And a reference to Daredevil. Two very explicit references to Daredevil. I believe somebody from the development team also has explicitly used the words, Daredevil exists, probably.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. There's still the Sanctum and the Avengers Towers we have before, but also since again with an article we'll talk about later, there is seemingly the X-Mansion either in disrepair or possibly getting to have some people move into it that exist in this game.
I mean, that makes sense. Of course, they would want to interconnect their games.
I mean, they're very explicit about it in the article, but I didn't see this article until after I saw the Easter egg, like a video talking about Easter eggs and stuff, and just showing, hey, this literally looks like the X-Mansion from like the movies and stuff. There are a couple different X's spray painted on like the outside walls and stuff. It just looks like it's in like disrepair, like nobody's living there at all. So I'm like, okay, have the mutants moved out from here and are just elsewhere? Or is like Xavier about to buy this in Wolverine and move people in? Like, what is the plot line here? Or what is the storytelling we're trying to do? Because I'm not sure. But that is all I got on Spider-Man 2. It looks really cool. I can't wait to play it like probably next year when it comes out on PC. Because it will probably come out on PC next year.
More than likely.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Anything else before we get to the news and stuff?
Nah.
All right, then. As we were talking about, it's Bungie.
That's the wrong button. That's the right button.
So a big report came out from Jason Schreier that has since been updated again and again by him and a couple other people, talking about what has happened to Bungie in the last week or so. Essentially, if I can find the numbers real quick, somewhere in this massive article. Destiny has been hit with layoffs. And they are pretty big. I believe it's double digits at least. I was hoping to find the number, or up in this article had the number somewhere, but I am not seeing it. Maybe this last update? Okay, roughly 100 employees were laid off from the company. It's a lot of different areas. Some of them have been decimated, according to wording from the articles. And the reason for this is apparently Destiny is not meeting its revenue projections, which are apparently 45% below projections. And that plus like player retention and the like caused a lot of these layoffs to happen. And these layoffs are not just new people. They are a lot of senior guard at Bungie. One of them is Michael Sabatori, who is a long-staying member of Bungie, who did the music for like all the Halos, Destiny, even Marathon. But him, amongst others, like old guard at Bungie, have been let go of along with other people. So it has caused a lot of people that cover Destiny as content creators and stuff to go, oh shit, this doesn't look good. And then further reporting has pretty much stated that the final shape is a do or die, or is a make or break expansion for Bungie. Because Final Shape has been pushed back to June, along with these reports, and then Marathon, the new extraction shooter version of Marathon, is now pushed back to 2025. And that's like the core of everything here. So how are you feeling looking at all this?
I mean, It's not surprising,
Mm-hmm.
but I also know why the sales are below projections. This season is not one that really hooks people, and I think that's what's causing the problems.
I feel like Bungie has slowly whittled away at a lot of their people or a lot of their player base over the last couple of years with a lot of their decisions. And I think everything with Lightfall in the last couple seasons has finally like broke people and went, nah, fuck Sunk Off Halsey, I'm out. I can't do this anymore.
Well, I mean, Lightfall's not bad. Is it one of the best ones? No. But it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Last season, once you started diving into the... I didn't mean to do that. Once you started diving into the actual story for the season, it wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Even the start of the season kind of, to a certain point, hooked me, and then the farther I went in, it hooked me a little more, because it felt like it was leading directly into the final shape.
Mm-hmm.
Without actually doing that. This one feels like it's trying too hard to lean into that, but it's failing because of the way that it's set up, kind of deal. It feels too repetitive and too boring at the beginning of it, and I think that's drove a lot of people away. It's one of those... I feel like what has happened is it has slowly done it, and then this last season is probably what was that final nail in the coffin kind of deal.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you're going to have the people that are going to grind it out, get 100, get the light level 100 on the, lack of a better term, battle pass.
Whatever the term they use for it is, I don't even know what it is.
I think it's season pass is how it's set up, but it might as well be the same thing.
Yeah.
But the ones that they need to be hooking are the ones that are interested in the story. The ones that are interested in the gameplay. Not the ones that are going to be just pushing through it anyhow because, ooh, it's new content, it's new items.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they lost that vision at some point.
Yeah, that feels like it's always been Destiny's problem of trying to get the story and the characters and stuff forefront, because they've always had a really bad job of doing that, where it's like Destiny is really cool at like 2 layers down in the lore, but like the front-facing plot, story, and character stuff is like really all over the place. Like sometimes it's really cool, sometimes it's bleh.
Well, what's bad?
You can't find that consistency.
What's bad is between the 2 games, the mid-lifespan DLC for Destiny 1, all the way till about the same point in Destiny 2, was the only solid good part.
Which should be, if I recall correctly, that's Taken King to like Forsaken, if I recall correctly. Whichever one we killed Cade in, that's the Destiny 2 expansion you're thinking of?
Yeah. It's like between that part is where they were nailing it. Before and after, they kind of fell on their face a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Also, 1 second, I'll be right back.
Okay. But yeah, I just like I don't know how concerned to be. All I can say is if you've got Bife and Dado and a lot of other like people who are mainline Destiny content creators, and you have them concerned, and they've been doing this super long. That's probably worth being concerned about. Because it's like, okay, we're getting less people in. They're not replacing these people, or a lot of these people, because they've only put up so many jobs apparently on their LinkedIn to like fill in a lot of these slots and stuff. And Final Shape being delayed to like several months is like, okay, hopefully this can turn out well. But if it doesn't, oh no. And also, I guess it's kind of an MCU issue. It feels like with Final Shape, where it's like, okay, here's the big epic conclusion to the storyline. How many people are willing to stick around for the next one and ride out another, like, however long that storyline goes? Since they're changing up to this episode format, like, how many people are willing to... I figured I'd point out other stuff. Since the Final Shape being a conclusion, how many people are going to be willing to stick around after Final Shape?
Pretty much the ones, like I said, that are going to be sitting there wanting to push for everything. And
yeah,
the only time that anyone else is going to hop into it is once they realize there's an actual decent story there. Mm-hmm. If that's even the thing.
But yeah, all I can say is if Destiny content creators are worried, that's probably a bad sign. Because if they're worried, means things aren't looking good. Because they know the game better than anyone, both inside and out. But I guess anything else?
No.
Besides,
I can't get this stupid level to cooperate. Keep screwing up in new dumb ways now.
I actually saw this brought up because of some SGC people, but apparently Microsoft has started blocking unauthorized Xbox accessories. More or less. Bungie is apparently starting to block anything that isn't like a first-party controller. Or not Bungie. Microsoft. My bad.
They got a lot of power real quick.
Microsoft is starting to block like essentially third-party controllers and stuff that aren't like properly authorized for use. And this has caused a stir for like FGC people because does my fight stick count as that? Because yeah. And then people who have controllers for various disability needs, that's become a concern for them. Like, okay, what about our controllers? What about our setups? So yeah, this has caused quite the stir for all the wrong reasons. Attaboy, Microsoft. Way to continue to somehow cause problems. Any thoughts on this?
No.
All right, then. A bunch of smaller news. First and foremost, the Indigo Disc DLC finally has a release date. It's next month. Hooray! So you can finish off the rest of Scarlet and Violet DLC on December 14th. Are you excited?
Not really, because I haven't touched the game in a while.
Same. Moving on. As we mentioned earlier, the Spider-Man 2 has been confirmed to be in the same universe as Wolverine now. Insomniacs are just like, yep, it's the same universe. We are designation Earth 1048 for more or less Insomniacs' take on the Marvel universe. So that's Spider-Man 1, 2, Miles, and now Wolverine. They've also said Wolverine is not in Spider-Man 2 because we didn't want to throw something that big in there since it's still in development.
AKA, they're not far enough in for that.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if there's some special significance to the number 1048 in relation to all of this.
Probably.
Because sometimes the Earth numbers have a significance, but mainly in just like a referential capacity. But I don't know if 1040 what 1048's reference would be. But yeah, Wolverine will be the same years as the Spider-Man games, which is not the same years as the Avengers games because that was never the case. The people who that whole thing with Marvel's Avengers. Anyway, next up, Vampire Survivors is doing a narrative update, kind of. Essentially, they're gonna do like themed character levels and stuff as a part of a new update, and it'll have new unlocks and stuff. It'll be little small bite-sized story things, not big story stuff, little small story stuff, which is neat and cool. And hey, more reason for me to play Vampire Survivors. Hooray. And last up, what you added in, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's final booster course has a date. Hooray.
Which also means that we now have the next set of stuff for Sundays.
Yeah. So we have 7 returning courses plus 1 new one. In the Acorn Cup, we have Rome Avanti from Tour, DK Mountain from Double Dash, Daisy Circuit from Wii, and then the Piranha Plant Cove is brand new. And then for the Spiny Cup, Mandra Drive from Tour, Rosalina's Ice World from 7, Bowser Castle 3 from Mario Kart, or Super Mario Kart, and then Rainbow Road from the Wii, adding 1 more Rainbow Road to the count.
Which means I also get to update the archipelago.
Hooray! Alongside this, 4 new characters get to be playable: Funky Kong, Diddy Kong, Pauline, and Peachette. And additionally, 16 racing suits will be included, including a Daisy racing suit for those that have a Daisy amiibo of some variety. We also get a music player, because fuck it, why not? Here's more content. And it all is coming out November 9th. So just a little under a week away. I remind you all that this booster course is still only like $25 or included with your Switch Online, like the deluxe version. I forget what the other higher tier is called. But that is, we'll finish off the booster course pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. How do you feel that everything's on the table?
I feel like we're still not going to get a Mario Kart 9 anytime soon.
I'm starting to feel that way about Smash because I recently saw an article where Sakurai's like, I don't know where we're going to take Smash from here because, you know, everything we did with Ultimate. And I'm like, fair, you kind of went hard. Like, I feel like you have to go different now with both Smash and now Mario Kart. Like, you can't just go, here's a new Mario Kart or a new Smash. It's got to be something radically different. Because it's like, people have like a definitive version of both of these now. A stupid large definitive version. But any other thoughts?
No.
All right, then. Releases for the week. We'll start on the 7th with Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 for Xbox One Series, Xbox 4, 5, and Switch. I'm surprised I got a sequel since the first one came out and didn't make a whole lot of traction or didn't get a whole lot of traction. Like, people liked it, but didn't, like, love it. I thought it would be like, oh no, this is gonna die a terrible death, but no, it's got traction. And apparently, it's really good, and like it has a roguelite single player mode that has plot. I'm not kidding. That is how they describe it. There is plot to it. You pick a character and you essentially like choose your route as you go and fight other characters. And there is an overall plot to it. Feels like they're trying really hard to make this like something really cool. We also got Stray coming out on Xbox Series X. On the 8th, we've got Risk of Rain Returns for the Switch. On the 9th, Double Dragon Advance for Xbox One Series X, PlayStation 4, and Switch. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name for Xbox One Series X, PlayStation 4, and 5. That apparently only took 6 months to make. Which astonishes me that RGG were like, oh yeah, we turned out this little side game in like 6 months because we know how to reuse assets a lot and we're really good at it. It helps that most of our games take place in 2 cities. Let's see. We also have Super Double Dragon for Xbox One Series X, PlayStation 4, and Switch. Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn DLC for Xbox One Series X, PlayStation 4, and 5. On the 10th, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 for Xbox One Series X, PlayStation 4, and 5. Did you happen to see what IGN gave the campaign for this, score-wise?
No, but it's probably something stupid.
It's a 4 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
They dunked that campaign into oblivion. And I'm like, damn. What did you not like about this? Because I know people dunk on IGN because, like, ooh, they're bad at their reviews and stuff. But I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes reviewers have points because it's their job to have a point when reviewing stuff. It's kind of their job. I'm kind of curious how this will get, like, taken once it actually comes out. We also had Disney Dreamlight Valley Cozy Edition for Series X, PlayStation 4, and 5. That's on Game Pass, and that was a decent enough little Animal Crossing light game, if I'm being honest. They did an announcement of like a bunch of new content and stuff. Like, here's a new region, some new characters you can get as villagers. They did say, surprisingly, they're not going to go free to play. They're going to stay as like a boxed price to purchase it, since they want to, I guess, keep the, do really good content and stuff. And they feel like the only way they're going to be able to do that is keep it at a box price instead of going free to play. Granted, there are microtransactions in the game, so make of that what you will. But it was decent enough. On the 11th, People Will Money for Switch. We're going to go down to the 14th. Paperman Adventure Delivered for PS5 and Switch. Turok 3 Shadow of Oblivion for Xbox One Series X, PlayStation 4, 5, and Switch. We will skip to the 16th with Power Wash Simulator Back to the Future for Xbox One Series X, PlayStation 4, 5, and Switch. They continue to get content. I'm a little surprised every time I see it gets like some new DLC thing. I'm like, where is this coming? How? Where? How? How do you keep making these deals? Finally, on the 17th, Naruto X Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections for Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4, 5, and Switch. Persona 5 Tactica for Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4, 5, and Switch. Super Mario RPG for the Switch. I didn't know both of those came out the same day.
Oh
Damn.
boy, one's gonna overshadow the other for sure.
I wonder which one it will be. My heart wants it to be Persona, but my head is like, nah, it's going to be Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, it's gonna be RPG.
Which is fine. Apparently that's looking really good because I think some folks have gotten to do some hands-on this past week. And everyone's like, this is really good. And I'm like, I'm not surprised. They're kind of working with a really good baseline. So we have also the Walking Dead Destinies for Xbox One Series, Xbox 4, 5, and Switch. And Warhammer Age of Sigmar Realm of Ruins for Series X and PlayStation 5. And then Tetris Effect Connected for PlayStation 5. That is all our releases. Anything else?
No?
All right, then. Tomorrow, we race the Kingdom Hearts 2 via path hints. Hooray! Have to make sure my path hints tracker works. Otherwise, I have to re-download it. Next Thursday, we continue Project Cross Zone as I continue to probably only get to do 2 levels per stream because they're both an hour, because the levels are becoming an hour long because of sheer volume of units on the map.
Oh boy.
God damn it. I believe the first map I had to do this past Thursday, it was 49 individual units. That is both me and the opposing team, or both me and the enemies. 49 units in total. It's a stupid amount. It's a little much. I wish there was less units per map. Because I'm kind of invested in the story of Project Cross Zone, of it just being, here is this bunch of characters that keep getting thrown in to each other and across these worlds and stuff, and they just keep picking up whoever just decides to tag along with them along the way as they try to figure out what the fuck's going on. No matter how ridiculous or nuts they are. Like, I just recently picked up this sassy lost child who thinks she's some princess that apparently is from Tron Bond's game because she knows Tron Bond. And I also picked up 2 of the characters from Valkyria Chronicles 3 that only came out in Japan on the PSP. So this is the only way for you to experience these characters officially in English, which I find hilarious.
Yeah, that is kind of funny.
I also find it funny, like, how Valkyria Chronicles works in terms of sequels, because there's 4 Valkyria Chronicles games. Would you care to guess what the progression is?
I'm gonna assume not in order, seeing as how you're asking this question.
Well, what it is that 1, 3, and 4 are all happening at the same time. They're just different fronts of the same war. 2 is the only proper sequel to the game, to the original. I don't know why that keeps happening, but that's just how it is.
Yeah, that's odd.
Yeah, because I believe 1 is like the original depiction of the war. 2 is the sequel to that, so it takes place after the war. 3, I believe, is the northern front of the war in like an icy area focused on more or less a bunch of prisoners turned soldiers. And then 4 is like the western, is it the western front or the southern front? It's a different country that is associated with the main country that you play as in the first game, but it's a different front that is happening at the same time, because there's even a DLC where you interact with like 4 of the crewmates from the first game and get to recruit them. Not canonically, mind you, because they're busy doing their own fucking thing. And again, all the 1, 3, and 4 are all happening at the same time, because again, it's all the same war, because characters pop up from across all 3 of the games. And trust me, some of them are dead after the first game, so it kind of has to happen at the same time. It's weird, but it works because Valkyria Chronicles is very good. But yeah, we continue Cross Zone next Thursday. Next Friday will be Mario Kart, I believe. That's what we
Nope.
get, or not?
Be a thing.
It'll be a thing. Okay. I was like, I don't remember. And then next Saturday, we continue Kamen Rider Saber. Hooray! I just find it funny that I see Kaiju Carl do a quote retweet of like this little action scene from like the second or third episode of Wizard, and he's like, so people will look back on Saber like this, being like, oh, Saber was cool, and I'm like,
nope.
two of us are looking back at Saber right now and are like not enjoying our time. I feel like not even from an action standpoint, I really care. Granted, I'm not like, I don't think a really good action scene can like overwrite every other feeling I have about Rider. Like, a cool action scene is cool, but like, if I don't care about who's fighting, then I don't care. It doesn't matter how cool it is. But that's just me. But that is the week ahead, folks. So if you like what you're seeing, drop a follow. Really appreciate it. Chipping away at the political. At TGS Network on Mastodon.social. We'll give you information on when we go live, and at TG Saloon on Twitter for however long that will continue to exist, because I refuse to call it anything else but Twitter, and apparently like 90% of the world agree. I think the only people who have ever called it X are the dipshits in charge of X. And by dipshits, I mean dipshit. And also, exclamation point Discord and chat, because there's a link to the Discord. Drop by, say hi. There's Dropbox for questions. And we'll see you tomorrow, folks.